watching Millie and her problem solving. You know, that's what we talk about here, and we talk a lot about interrogating reality to solve problems. We call it problem solving, but I think you have to be able to do one to get the other. And some of the things that were really amazing that she did. Number one, I was in the role play. So for me, I was trying to say, well, you keep saying I can afford it, you keep saying I can, and she just kept coming back. There was no doubt for me who was in control. She wasn't rude or abrasive about it, but she was very confident. She knew she was in control, and it exuded to me. She asked me so many questions. It was like a puzzle. It's like when she got there were a bunch of pieces on the table. Well, by the time she asked me enough questions, I answered them, it started to come together. And then I could see the framework. Why did I need to make sure I had this? How much did it take to run the house? All the things that she talked about, but you can't solve problems without asking questions. Wouldn't it be something to show up to something that's going on and go, all right, let me make a decision. Everybody's like, you don't even know what's going on yet. Like, you haven't asked one question. Like, slow down. Let's figure out who's doing what. Why is he here? I was a social worker for many years. I always tell people I trained, I'm like, you didn't have any information. You made a decision before you even got there. You decided what he or she did or didn't do. Ask. Interrogate the reality. If they're doing something that you think they're lying to you, challenge them on it. But she did a phenomenal job. What she also did in her role play was answer the phone, because when you're managing agents, they're going to call. She didn't go like, because that's what she does. So she's like, excuse me, it's one of my agents. She explained what it was, because it's real life. We don't have to walk in this appointment like, oh my God, my life shuts down now. What am I going to do? Your professional life does not. Your personal baggage, keep it in the car. Hard to solve problems when you bring your problems into the home. Leave your problems in the car. I don't care what's going on. The client didn't care what's going on with me. It was a problem. That's not their business. I'm there to help. So as you watch Millie in her problem solving in my situation, what she puts together, I want you to see how great she is with questions. And any time that I try to take control, she stopped me. When I tried to take her down a path which wouldn't solve the problem, she redirected me. It was like, stop, I'm not doing that. No, I'm going to get back on this. So she's phenomenal, and I know it'll help you.
Got it. Now let me ask you this, Sean. What are you looking to do? God forbid you don't come home tomorrow. What happens to the house?
I leave it to my kids.
Okay.
I mean, I have my attorney. I have a friend of mine. He drew up some paperwork, like a will, so they get to keep my house if something happens to me.
Do they want the house?
I don't know that either one of them. What I told them is they should sell it. Because even now that I've refinanced it, the appraisal came in pretty good. And it keeps going up a little bit. So I think we're in a pretty good place as far as what I owe on it. And so I don't think they'd keep it and move here, no.
And what is the monthly mortgage on the house right now?
What am I paying and everything?
Yes.
Probably about $2,300.
Okay, so just okay, $2,300. Okay. How's your health?
I'm in good health, actually.
What does that mean?
That means that I take no medications.
Ever?
I took cholesterol medication maybe 15 years ago for like 3 or 4 months.
Okay.
I don't smoke, don't drink, don't use drugs. I haven't done that since I was in my late 20s.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So I try to work out a lot, try to eat decent. I don't go to the doctor a lot, but I don't have any health issues that I'm aware of.
Okay. So looking at all of this, I'm just trying to, paint a picture of what it would look like in the event that you were no longer here. So we talked about that you don't want to be a financial burden to anyone in your family.
I don't want to be a financial burden to anybody.
To anyone.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. And you will still owe on your home.
Correct.
So what we would want to do, there's a plan, it's called Critical Protection Plan.
Mm-hmm.
What it does is that it allows your kids to save the equity of the home. Since they most likely won't be living here,
they would sell it.
So what we want to do is just have a coverage enough so that we make sure that the kids can grieve because you're no longer here,
mm-hmm.
and still make that monthly payment for your home until they can sell the house. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Okay. And now let's be realistic. No house sells overnight, and no one's looking.
No, I tried to do real estate years ago. I know that they don't sell overnight.
So what I would suggest is that we look at, because my job is I'm going to try to see if we can cover as much as we possibly can. What was the mortgage?
How much I owe on the house total?
Yes.
Now I'm probably down to 170.
170. Okay.
Yeah.
So.
But I think it's worth probably 250 right now.
So 250. So you got some good equity there. Okay.
I want them to keep that. The difference.
So this is what we're going to cover. We're going to save the equity. So we're going to spend a little money to get to save this for the kids. Does that make sense?
So what do you mean? What would it do for them? What do you mean?
Here's what you're going to do. One, they're going to be able to pay. They're going to get a check, okay?
Okay.
And they're going to be able to make that payment, monthly payment for your mortgage, and keep the lights on, because we still got to keep the lights on in the house, because we can't sell a house with no lights on. Does that make sense?
Well, yeah, keep it heated so nothing gets cold.
And so they'll do that until they put it on the market. Once they put it on the market, they're going to pay off the house, and they're going to get the equity.
Okay.
Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, as long as I can afford it.
Well, listen, that's why I'm here.
Okay.
That's why I'm doing the shopping. You're done shopping. Does that make sense?
You keep saying that, so I guess that has to make sense. But I don't want to do that.
I promise you.
Okay.
All right, let's just look at everything, okay? So that's what we're gonna do, and then we'll see what else we have left over for final expense.
So how much would they get if I know you're gonna look at it? But how much do you think you're looking at? You're thinking they would need to protect the house?
You're saying that the house, to run the house every month, is $3,000.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
And
roughly.
Okay. I'm gonna say it's not gonna be as much, because they probably won't be living in the house. So let's say, just to be on the safe side, let's do $2,600 a month. Does that make sense?
Yep.
We're gonna times that by 12. 26. Let me make sure I add it right. So it's 31,000. Now, what would you say? What does it typically? How long does it typically take to sell a house around here?
I mean, I think if it goes good, it's 6 months, and it could be up to a year. I guess if it's priced wrong, it could be more than that. But I think a year's fair.
Okay, so to be on the safe side, let's do 2 years. I always like to do 3, but we can do 2. Your kid's pretty smart. They know how to sell. They know who to talk to.
They're much smarter than me. Yes.
Okay, good. Well, I'm glad you at least
I'm
made them smarter.
Yes, I'm aware of that.
That's what we hope, right? Okay, so let's say you said that the house can go for $250 minus the $170. Let's say we're talking about, it says 80. Let's say 80,000 worth in equity, a little less than that, maybe a little more, depending on when we were to sell the house. Okay. When I say we, I would help your children through all of this. Okay. Does that make sense? Okay. So right now, the minimum we would be looking at is $62,000. Okay. And to make it affordable. But if you have other expenses, plus we want to do funeral expenses, are you going to get cremated, or are you going to get buried with a whole bunch of flowers?
I'm getting buried.
You're getting buried? Okay. So then we're going to have to add a little bit more on that, because I don't know when you're going to go. 6, 7, 8, around that. So does that make sense?
Well, I have to put the house. I mean, that part does make sense. I haven't thought about that. I don't want them to. I am, again, I know you're looking at everything today. I got to make sure, like I said, that's. I don't want to lose the money that's in the house. Okay. So yes.
Excuse me 1 minute. Hold on a second. Yes. You're with a client right now. Okay. Yes. I think you want to go with what coverage? The living benefits are always the best, because God forbid something happens, they have some protection. Yes. Okay. If you need anything else, just give me a call. I do apologize. We have a lot of agents.
Okay.
So we got to help them out, make sure that we're protecting all the families, okay?
That's no problem.
Okay. So let's look at these numbers, and then let's find something that fits the budget. At the end of the day, we want to have a car that has 4 wheels, right? So maybe the car that you want to drive, what's your favorite kind of car?
What would I get if I could afford it?
If you could afford it.
Ferrari.
Do you drive a Ferrari now?
No.
But you do drive a car, right?
Yes.
Okay, why?
I can't afford a Ferrari.
Because you drive a car because...
I drive a car now because I need a car.
Exactly.
If I meant, I don't have a Ferrari, I can't afford a Ferrari. That's the only reason I don't have a Ferrari.
So what I'm saying, and my point is that we're still going to find you a car, because you still need the 4 wheels. Does that make sense?
Yes, you still need a vehicle.
All right, you still need a car.
Yes.
We still need to protect your family.
Got it.
All right, so let's look at the... Now, I'm looking at America, which is a really great company. Let's make sure that they cover your age group.
Are you saying I'm old?
I'm saying...
You can say it if you want.
I'm saying that... So what I'm going to do is I'm going to first try to see what it looks like to cover your home mortgage, okay? Because that's what you would qualify for. So I'm always going to show you the maximum amount. Doesn't mean you have to take it, okay? Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at your face, although you're going to tell me anyway, because you're just that type of person. But I'll know whether or not that makes sense, okay? Well, not that much. You don't need that much. Your house isn't
that
that
was
big.
a lot. No.
I know.
I'll take that, though, if you can get it for the same price.
Right?
I can get a Ferrari with that.
You could definitely get a Ferrari. You can get one for me as
I
well.
can get one for a lot of people. Yeah.
So you said, what was your mortgage? 30 years?
Yeah, but when I refined it, that's why I brought it down to 15 years.
Perfect.
That's why my interest rate went up a little bit.
All right, so we have 15 years. So
And I don't even have a total, but I have a little less than 15 years on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so 15 years, that puts you at 75?
75.
Okay, so here's the thing. Do you have longevity in your family? Parents still alive?
Parents are now both deceased, in late 70s. So my grandparents, I guess, same deal, right around 80. I mean, they don't live to. My family doesn't live to 110.
Okay.
But late 70s, early 80s, somewhere in there. We're not.
Okay, so
well, I wouldn't consider us a longevity family, I guess, to answer your question.
All right. So here's the thing. Your mortgage is only 15 years, okay, which is great. I'm showing you this price, but here's the thing. After that, then we have no coverage. So we have to cover you for something. So we're going to have to have a plan here, okay? So I want to make sure that you have enough coverage so that we can do this plan here, plan A, but we also make sure maybe this plan is a whole life. Okay? And the reason why we need a whole life is because if your house gets paid off and you're still alive,
that goes forever. Right?
Correct.
I read about that.
And here's the thing: your kids are young, and I'm sure they love you. But God forbid, if you were to get cancer or something, they're not going to be able to take care of you at this age. So what you could do with this whole life is you're able to take the money up front so that you can do whatever it is that you need to take care of yourself.
Okay.
All right. So we're going to put that plan together.
All right.
All right.
So I hope you really got the sense in watching Millie and what she done. Again, this is so if you want to go to the whole sales experience, Millie's never sold any life insurance. I mean, I don't think she'd call herself some kind of crazy salesperson, but she sure as heck knows how to sit down and ask some people questions and get to the bottom of something and solve some problems. And again, you can't be the problem solver if you're not in control. She took control. Now you get ready to watch Brian Mendenhall. And, Brian does something in here. I always like to watch. Again, I miss very much. People say, what's the hardest part about running the company? I'm like, running the company, I work with great agents, work with great carriers, work with great managers, great vice presidents. I mean, I just try to bust my behind as hard as I can to outwork everybody so I keep everybody's respect. That's. But I miss meeting with clients. I miss it. And I love it. And, when I was watching Brian, go through, and I watched it, and I had the opportunity to watch it live, and when he didn't pretend to paint a picture for the couple in the role play about what would happen if the husband died. He was so detailed. By the way, that is what happens. I mean, just so you know, so detailed in his approach. I used to hear people say, you need to kill the client, talk about it, but they didn't know how to do it. It was very salesman-y. And Brian just literally, very methodically, low tone, just explain. The minute the husband said, or the wife, he's like, whoa, wait a minute. He's not it. He's dead. He's dead. And then when they kind of laugh it off, because it's uncomfortable laughter, he's like, this is not a laughing matter. That's problem solving. There ain't no doubt who's in control of that appointment. And guess what? Everybody that filled this thing out, that's what they're deathly afraid of. What's going to happen if something happens to whichever person or both of us and we don't have any coverage? That's what they're terrified of. So if we know that's what they're terrified of and we can't go get it out of them, we put ourselves in a tough spot. What Brian did, everybody can do. There was nothing magical about it, nothing that requires any innate ability or gift. He just hit the people straight, problem solved, talk about interrogating reality. And he did it and kept control the entire time.
And what's the house worth? I know you got a real screaming deal, so what's the house worth?
We're thinking like just over 200 now.
Yeah.
Probably
Your
like
price a little bit higher.
So just so you know, I don't know, this is your first house, right? Mm-hmm. So when they do the appraisals, they just do them to make the deal work. So sometimes the house can be worth a little more, but they just do it and to the point where, okay, this makes sense, we got the deal.
Yep.
So I'm assuming it's probably worth more than what you paid. You wouldn't pay what it's worth. Does that make sense? So let's say it's maybe worth $225 now.
That sounds about right.
Here's what I will tell you though. Back in 2007, I don't know this area per se, but I know this house was probably going for about $300K because the market was booming. What does that mean for you guys?
We hope the market stays booming or booms again.
Well, the market's gonna boom again, and so it has to happen.
Right.
So what that really means right now, if you look at the future and the big picture, today, day one, you starting your buying this house, you typically have $100,000 worth of equity.
Okay.
It's huge, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want you to picture this. So, see this bag? You guys have a basement here?
Yeah.
You see this bag?
Yep.
It's got $100,000 in it. And this is going to be stashed away somewhere in the basement, right?
Yep.
Well, the thing is, if we don't have a plan to protect the mortgage in the event of something happened to one of you, you know where that $100,000 goes?
Out the door.
Well, no, it goes back to the bank.
Back to the
They
bank.
get to keep your $100,000 and resell the house to somebody else and get paid again. So we want to make sure we have something in place, okay? Now, I want to ask you guys this. This is important because a lot of people don't have a plan. And I believe if you don't have a plan, you plan to fail. I'm going to ask you a serious question. And I like to be hypothetical right now because this isn't your real situation today. But let's act like it was.
Mm-hmm.
Bill, what time do you normally get home from work?
Get home right around a little after 6.
A little bit after 6?
Mm-hmm.
What's the latest you'd ever come in the house?
The latest I'd ever come in, after work.
After work, what's the latest you get in?
7 o'clock sometimes.
And then you guys probably eat. You wait for him to get home to eat, right?
Yeah.
All right. So, Jasmine, now it's 7:30, and Bill hasn't come in. You haven't heard from him. At what point would you maybe shoot him a text message or call him and say, "Hey, you're running late. Where you at, babe?" At what point would you do that?
Probably right at 7:30. I'm panicking.
7:30. You're
Yeah.
like, what's up, man? Get
It's a
home,
little
right?
late, yeah.
So let's say now it's 8 o'clock. What do you do at that point? Maybe call him a couple more times, or
Yeah,
Maybe
maybe
start-
call his job.
maybe call his job, right?
Yeah.
Now it's 8:30. You still haven't heard from him. You reach out to family at this point. You're starting to really panic at this point and getting a little bit upset, right? I don't want to say the P word, but you're getting upset, right? You get a knock at the door. It's the Norwich Police Department when you open the door. They hold up a bloody driver's license and they say, "Ma'am, can you identify this person?" And it's Bill. It's your husband. What would you do?
Who knows?
What would your plan be?
We don't have a plan, do we?
Yeah, I guess
Do me a
there's no plan
favor.
after that.
You can't talk to him because he's dead. No, it's not. This is not a laughing matter. I'm being dead serious.
Yeah.
And the reason I can be dead serious now is because this is hypothetical. But this happens way too much. So many people are dying every single day without a plan. Without a plan. What would you do?
I guess I could ask some family if they could take me in, but I can't afford the house.
There's no way that you can stay here
No.
living on the couch. Do you see where you should probably have this type of coverage?
Yeah.
And what I really think we should do is, I'm going to show you a regular mortgage protection plan. And because there's a lot of accidents, I literally on the way here, I saw an accident. I prayed for the person, but I guarantee they probably didn't live. So I'd probably add a little small accidental policy on there as well. So you'll have the house paid and some additional money if you pass that way. Does that make sense?
Yes.
All right. So let me go over this product I want to explain to you guys. Since you have nothing going on health-wise, I am going to show you Americo, the
Okay.
company I was telling you about. And hands down, their product cannot be beat right now, okay?
All right, so wrapping up the video that you got to see, wrapping up what Brian did, that's it. I mean, guys, you want to talk about pulling the emotion from somebody. You want to talk about tugging on their heartstrings. I mean, it's what we do. And you do it by asking questions. So I hope as you reflect back on it, you really think about, am I getting there? Let's say you're here and the client's here. When and the client never moves from here, you never move from here. Well, you got to be in here to go ahead and make the sale and close the sale, which means you're sharing, they're sharing, you're challenging, they're coming towards you. We're all trying to come to this common goal, and Brian shows you how to do that. A lot of people get here, they're there, and go, they didn't want the life insurance. No, they wanted it, just not from you. And that's, and I've said it about myself, make changes. So I want to bring now on, I want to help intro Matt Walker, who's one of the newer agents we have. And again, not to continue to beat this drum, but talk about the differences in people. And Matt's dealing with a lady in this role play. She's lost her husband. She's young. She didn't think she'd lose her husband at this young age. And Matt, even his body language, we're not going to do, 37 of his show, but I mean, the body language he had knowing that here's this young lady who's lost her husband, and even when he said not to rehash these painful memories, somewhere along those lines, I'm respectful of it, but you did lose your husband. And he's feeling in the role play this is purely a budget deal for her. Yes, she wants life insurance. She knows she needs life insurance. But inside somewhere, he asked it multiple times. So what would be the issue? Is it a budget issue? And then finally she goes, yeah, I want to afford it. And by the way, people don't jump up and down and go, yay, I have budget issues. Let me tell you about them. They usually don't. They act like they don't. It's easier to say no than to bring it up. But if you bring it up nicely, we all have budget issues. Everybody has to understand it, makes sense. You let people know how normal it is to think about how much something's actually going to cost before you purchase it for the majority of people in the world. So he just does a really good job of his demeanor, his question asking, him continuing to stay on the same track. When he thought it was something, he didn't leave it alone. He got to the bottom of the answer. Again, we talk about problem solving. It's funny if you think about interrogating reality. You think of some bad CSI episode or something, and they're interviewing the heck out of them, they're interrogating them, and they're waterboarding somebody. And his interrogating reality was very much with his body language here, her over there, hands close to him, watching everything she was doing. A very methodical interrogation with the reality. And again, you have to know who you're talking to and what's going to be productive and what's not. So I know Matt will help you out a great deal when you watch this next clip.
Protected in the process, and if nothing happens, like we said, you're going to get it all back and pay the house off early. Now, you obviously said that you could save about $400 a month, so that seems pretty reasonable. Would you say that plan seems to be within your budget?
Yeah, I can definitely afford it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just, of course, I want to make sure it is the best price out there. So would you mind if I just held on to this and shopped it around a little?
Okay, so by the way, so there's a couple other plans. Now, would you say that, so you want to look at a few other plans, would you say that it's because of, you said it's price, right? Mm-hmm. So now, let me just challenge you with this. Now, if you find a plan that's a little bit less, this is a savings plan, right? It's built in. If you find a plan that's a little bit less out there, which I'm going to be honest with you, we work with a lot of insurance carriers, and America is, when it comes to the cash back, and the living benefits, you're not going to find another company out there that offers that. Now, if you do find something that's a little bit cheaper, really, at the end of the day, all you're doing is just saving a little bit less. You're not going to pay the house off 5 years early, which you really liked, right?
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, I'm just saying.
Okay.
So if it's a budget thing, is it? Now we said you could save $400 a month. If it's a budget thing, we could take a step back and look at a couple other plans, and we could always upgrade the plan later. Okay. But here's the thing. You're thinking about it now, right? Mm-hmm. You're thinking about protecting the house because you got the card in the mail, right? You got the card in the mail. The insurance guy's here, so you're thinking about it now. You're busy right now, right?
Definitely.
Like with the kids and work. I mean, how many hours do you work in a week?
At least 55.
55 hours a week.
Mm-hmm.
So let's be honest. I mean, you're not going to spend that. Life goes on. In other words, when I leave here, you got the kids. You got the day off today. Mm-hmm. All right. Maybe you'll shop around a little bit today. But after that, life goes on. And I can tell you, I've been doing this for about 6 years, and I can honestly say that the majority of the people that I meet with that tell me that they're going to think about it and shop around, they never end up doing something. And the last thing we want to have happen is during that time frame, something happens to you. I mean, and I don't want to rehash painful memories, but I mean, look what happened with your husband. Would you ever want would you ever want your kids to be in that predicament, and your parents?
Yeah. I understand.
You know what I mean? And I take what I do very seriously. So the last thing I want to have happen is I leave here today and something happens to you, and you're not protected. I take responsibility for that. So can you see how? So if it's a budget thing, if we need to scale back, that's fine. But can you see how not having any coverage just really simply isn't an option for you. You really can't afford to go any longer without having any coverage.
You're right.
So is it a budget thing or?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I mean, I can afford these, but I do need to be absolutely sure that I'm not overpaying.
Okay.
But if you're saying that if I shop around, I'm not going to find these benefits, then
Not
those
everything
are-
in one. No, I'm 100% sure that you want. And I, by the way, I encourage all the people that I sit with to go ahead and do research after. If you do find something that does all of what we're trying to accomplish here and at a lower rate, which actually wouldn't be possible. You wouldn't be able to pay the house off 5 years earlier at a lower rate. But if you did, that's then no harm, no foul. But I can say with absolute certainty that there's nothing else out there like this. If it is a budget issue, maybe we need to scale back a little bit. You did tell me you could save $400 a month, but if that $141 is a little bit more than you want to commit to right now, here's the deal. I would feel better if you at least have some protection in the meantime.
I agree with you.
You go ahead and think about it. You can think about it. You can shop around a little bit. Let's put something in place now that you're absolutely comfortable with. And if you say 3-4 months down the road decide, hey, you know what, this is nothing for me. I can afford to pay more. I got no problem coming back and upgrading the plan. Heck, we can even do it over the phone.
Okay.
So I asked myself, if you were sitting with Matt Walker, would you have felt comfortable? Would you have answered this question? Would you have bought life insurance from him? Did he solve the problem? Did he solve the problem that the client was facing? Did he interrogate reality to do that? Now I'm going to bring on Brian Mendenhall. We're going to watch this clip, and you're going to see him do his problem solving. And there's so many neat things that he does. At one point, literally takes his bag to articulate for me in the role play how much equity's in the house, and it's a bag of money. It says here and here is this amount of money, and he just really continues to point out, hey, I know you're saying that. I talked about the budget, and he said, okay, at the same time, I do know your kid's the most important thing in the world to you, right? He just kept bringing me back to what was really important, bringing me back to why I filled the form out, bringing me back to what I actually needed. So, just problem solving is an emotional thing, and again, you have to have the information to be able to be qualified to solve the problem. And the last thing I'll say about it is, if the person doesn't trust you, you haven't been forthright, you haven't been direct, you haven't controlled the situation, if they think that you're untruthful, or if they think you're weak. I mean, I'll be honest with you. If you think somebody's weak, or you let them help solve a problem for you, especially when it involves your children or other dependents, you're not going to do that. So, as you get to see what Brian's doing here, and I think it'll blow your mind, and also anybody can do it.
So you got about $80,000 worth of equity.
I would think so, yeah.
And this is important, and I'm glad you already know this. It seems like you already know, but in the event something happened to you, if the kids didn't have something protecting you, that 80 grand that's in this bag would be stashed somewhere in the basement. They wouldn't have access to it because the bank would not only take the house that you keep talking about, they would also take what?
We'll take the 80 grand.
The 80 grand.
And they wouldn't work with my kids on it all or anybody else.
Not at all. Not at all. So that 80 grand would be gone. Let's make sure that we have something that would actually help you out. Now,
and is this, and again, I don't want to jump ahead, Brian, I appreciate the information, but if it ends up being too much, I just can't do it. I want to be straight up with you. I don't want to mislead you on it. I mean, what you're telling me, I got it. I need to do something. I know that. But I know I'm not 22 either, so I'm just,
So let me ask you this question, Sean, because you say it has to be affordable. I understand that. At the same time, what I know is most important to you is your kids.
Yeah.
Is that right?
They're my world.
Okay, so being that, I'm going to show you what it is. We can't change how old you are. Would you agree?
I wish I could.
So you are your age. Unless we can go jump in the DeLorean and go back 88 miles per hour, it's not going to change.
Every morning I get up, I realize I am my age.
All right. So what I'm going to show you is a plan that it should cover all your concerns and more, because there's things that you haven't thought about being a single person. I'm about to enlighten you. And this product will cover all of it. But more importantly, in the beginning, you mentioned to get your money back. Remember?
Yeah, that was the most. To be honest, that was the most important thing on the form. If I didn't say that, I wouldn't have filled it out.
Okay. So when you're saying you want to make sure it's in your budget, all this money is coming back to you. So it's essentially a savings account.
I just got to be able to put enough away.
Okay.
I got to be able to afford to put it away every month.
Let's take a look at it. No matter what, Sean, I'll find something in your budget. So let's not worry about that. More importantly, let's make sure we get something.
Okay.
A lot of my clients will have champagne taste with beer money. Sometimes you got to grab a beer. You
I
asked
got
me if I
beer.
wanted
I
a
got
beer.
beer taste.
I can't have
I
a beer
got
right now.
champagne taste.
Hey, but if you got to grab a beer, you got to grab a beer. Okay? Something is going to be better than nothing. All right. So the first thing that is huge about this product, it has living benefits. Okay. Now, when you talked about life insurance, you don't like term insurance. Neither do I. But it has no living benefits like this program. Okay. So what you weren't thinking about, you were only thinking about death. Dude, what if you came down with cancer like my aunt or my uncle? Are you still driving trucks?
Depends on how sick I am. Probably not. They'd probably take me off the road anyway. Even if I could do it, they'd probably take me off the road.
Yeah, let's be real. You come down with cancer, even if you wanted to, you wouldn't be able to, physically able to.
You're probably right. You're probably right.
Which means your income goes down from what you're making to now 60% of your income, correct? Mm-hmm. And it's only you paying the bills here.
Correct.
Some people end up living too long, Sean. Mm-hmm. You end up getting sick, coming down with something. You live too long and start losing stuff. Does that that's scary? Think about that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
This product, in the event of any type of critical illness, they'll pay you a lump sum of 100% of the face amount that we choose today while you're still living with that critical illness. It could be any type of invasive cancer, any type of stroke, any type of heart attack. See, you're 45. My uncle just had a heart attack at 53. 53 is right around the corner for you. Mm-hmm. You just took out a commitment to your 75 years old of a 30-year mortgage. Yep. How good would it make you feel to know you're protected for any type of strokes?
And that would cover me the entire time.
The entire 30 years.
Whether I was 46 or 72.
Here's the magic. You ready? Even 25 years from now, you're still 45 and healthy. They're going to lock you in at your age. Your price won't change. And you get to keep your coverage for 30 whole years. Cover this entire mortgage.
Right. Any of these things in my 70s, I could get that benefit.
Correct.
Okay.
All right. Next thing is chronic illness. Now, this is crazy. Any type of chronic illness where you're unable to take care of yourself doing 2 out of the 6 daily living activities, bathing, dressing, eating, going to the toilet. There's like 2 more. If you can't do 2 of them, they're going to again give you 100% of the face amount of the policy.
So they give me 100% of the face amount. My policy's over, but I get 100% of the money.
It's over, but you get all your money. Okay. That means you don't make any more payments.
Okay.
Now
you know it sounds like it
almost sounds too good to be true, right?
It almost sounds too good to be true. To me, but I don't know a lot about this stuff. I'm just saying that's it.
Sean, I'll be honest.
I think if more people that I worked with knew this, because I have to listen to these people at work all the time, and I don't read a lot. I read a little bit about real estate, but I don't think I'm an expert. These people I work with think they're expert in life insurance, and I just think anyway. But okay, I'm listening to you.
No.
Hey,
I tell you what,
you're not lying to me. I'm looking in your eyes. You're not lying.
Here's the deal, Sean. Okay. There was a training that they did on this. Before these pamphlets came out a couple months ago. I thought it was too good to be true myself, man. But here it's in writing.
Because the return of premium sounds too good to be true, too.
It does.
I mean, they give you all your money back, which means, okay.
But it's not.
Okay.
So you see it here in writing, right?
No, I'm reading it.
Now here are the 2 things that I think about. The critical illness and terminal illness. My aunt would have qualified for both of these. Because terminal illness says if you're going to pass away in the next 12 months, your doctor says that, they're going to give you all the money up front. And this one says any type of invasive cancer. She didn't just have invasive cancer. She had life-threatening cancer. Invasive, anything under the skin, you're taking chemo, that covers everything. You're covered. The last thing we want to get to, which is your most important thing, you want that money back, don't you?
Yeah.
Receive all your money back in the event that you don't ever use the coverage, meaning you don't die or you don't get sick. You get 100% of your money back. Now, what they've done is they've showed you a 30-year-old covering just $150,000 policy. Here's his monthly payment. Okay? You take that times 12 months times 30 years, he gets back $24,750. And just to do the math to make sure it's correct, because I know you're the guy that wants to see the numbers. What's that? 68 what?
68.75
times 12 times 30 years. Is that the same thing they have?
$24,750.
This is how your program's going to work. It's just going to cost more because you're older. Make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Let's take a look at the programs and find out which one makes the most sense for you, okay?
So that wraps up our problem solving / interrogating reality episode. And I think that you have to think to yourself, I used to like to keep score. How many questions did I ask? How many questions did I answer? The question game. Answer a question with a question. Whoever asks the most questions wins. And when you start thinking about clients, you're trying to interrogate their reality, you can't do that. Again, you can't be here and they can't be here. You got to be in here where it's emotional. You need to be direct with people. You need to ask questions other people won't ask. You need to paint that picture for people. And when somebody, as happened in a few of the episodes, when somebody maybe laughs off something you said, usually an uncomfortable laughter, you need to step in and say, it's not a laughing matter. Now, I understand what you're saying, but it's really not a laughing matter. You have to ask yourself, when you're in somebody's home, are you able to interrogate that reality? Because the idea is that somebody sat down someday, some night, filled out a form, sent it back to somebody they don't know, and that somebody's you. So when you get out to that house, they're putting a lot of trust and respect in the fact that you are going to be able to help them. And this Call to Close series shows you through these in-home role plays, which are phenomenal, and you can see so many different people do it. You see what it looks like to have somebody knock on that door, make the appropriate initial contact, and then begin that problem-solving process through the interrogation of reality, asking a lot of questions. If somebody doesn't answer the question, they come right back and ask it again. So it appears you're saying this. It appears you say it's a budget issue. Hey, let me ask you something. At the same time, your kids are the most important thing in the world to you, aren't they? Yes. Okay, got it. So I'm answering the question with a question. I'm moving back. I'm not letting up. I'm not going to stop. So I know this episode will help you because it's going to take you to the next one. And without the appropriate problem solving through the interrogation of reality, you can never even get to the close. So I know it'll help you if you follow through with what you see in these videos.